Here we are. We're live, boys. How we going? How we doing?
Doing really good.
Digging the new
Thank
backdrop,
you.
man. All right. So welcome to week 2 of Basshole Live. Happy to have all you guys here. We're just going to start out by saying we're not going to be talking about the election. Really tonight, I feel like everyone's just been hearing all about that. So we're kind of going to stay away from that because just give everyone a little bit of relief.
Yeah, I think there's possibly a opportunity maybe once the actual results come in to maybe mention it. But I think right now with it's a stressful political time and polls are still extremely close in a few states. So I don't think it's necessary to talk about it yet.
Yeah, not worth it. And we're a fishing channel. I mean, that's not really our area of expertise to be talking about. But yeah, so we're gonna start out. We posted on our Instagram. What is our Instagram? @_Basshole on
I believe
Instagram.
so.
We posted a story, so you guys could ask us some questions to be brought up in the episode today. So let's start it off. What is your favorite fishing tactic?
So, we're not the most experienced fishermen, obviously. That's the premise of our channel. So just a forewarning that we may come off as maybe not the smartest fisherman ever, but
Come on,
I think
give us some credit. Come on now.
yeah, I think my favorite tactic, it's not the one I go to mostly, but I think it's just the most fun for me to catch bass, and that's definitely the spinnerbait. I think the strike is just extremely fun. I think you have the opportunity to catch some big fish too.
And with the spinner, you also have the opportunity to catch pike.
Yeah, exactly.
So it always leaves you it's a little bit more
leaves you guessing.
Yeah. Quick question. What is that jersey on the far right of your screen?
So the far right's actually just a Hawaiian Wisconsin Badgers jersey.
Really?
Hawaiian shirt, yeah. Acquired it from a basketball game.
Nice. Yeah, it really deserves to be up there.
Yep. Well, we'll give you guys a jersey view quick. So we got the Wisconsin hockey jersey on the far left, Twins, Timberwolves, and then some more Badgers. So
love to see it. So for me, I'd say my favorite fishing tactic is probably the Senko, Texas rigged. You guys, if anyone has ever watched the channel, probably knows that. And yeah, Chris and I, that's basically all we fish with.
Yeah.
Our problem is we got pretty good at that tactic. I wouldn't say very good, but we got above average, and that's really all we ever did, and it's worked for us. So it's made us not want to venture off into other type of tactics.
And that's something we need to do better, I think, next season. I think there's a lot of really cool stuff out there that we want to try out and that we just haven't yet. So I think next season definitely is the season to venture out and maybe take some comments and suggestions on what to fish with.
Yeah, for me, it really helps going out with someone who knows the tactics. So we actually went out jig fishing with a guy, and he's super good at it. And so like going out with someone, because then they can actually teach you how to do it, and then you can see them catching fish, and then it gives you more confidence. Because if you're just going out there trying a new tactic you've never done before and you're not catching anything, obviously you're going to want to go back to the tactic that's worked for you in the past.
Yes.
You know what I mean? All right, so let's go into another Instagram question. What are your top 3 places to fish?
That I've been to or that I want to?
I think we should go with that you've been to.
Okay. So the top 3 places I've been to that I've been able to fish, I think just as a whole, I think at number 3 I'll put just the Midwest in general I'll go with the St. Croix River. I think it's a river that connects into the Mississippi near Minneapolis, St. Paul, and it's full of huge fish, and it's always a pleasure to get to go out on the river with some friends. So I'll put that as my number 3.
Number 3? All right.
For number 2, I'm probably going to go fishing off the coast of Florida on a vacation. It was just shore fishing, but it was just really fun to at least try something new. Didn't catch a whole ton, but I mean, it was honestly all about the experience because I've never got to go saltwater fishing before that. So I think that would go number 2. And then number 1, I was fortunate enough to go over to Europe for my first time ever because I have family over in Norway, and I was able to trout fish in the mountains there, and that was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had in my life. So I think that would be number one.
How big were the trout that you were catching out there?
Not huge. I mean, they were only like 6, 7 inches, but honestly, it was just all about the scenery. It was awesome.
Yeah, for sure. That definitely can make for a good fishing place. What about our lake that we always go to? You're not going to put that in the top three?
I can't put it in the top three just because I think the top three is designated for something that's you don't do too often. I think it's one of those things that it's a treat to fish at. I think an everyday thing. I don't think I'd put into my top three.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. For me, I went shore fishing in Florida in the Keys, and I got 2 sharks. So that was really fun. It was really different compared to what I usually catch. So I'd put that in my top 3. Another one,
Yeah, for sure.
I went trout fishing in Lake Superior, up by Madeline Island, and it was completely different from what I've ever fished because it was trolling, and it's a whole different sport.
Yeah, how big were they up there?
Pretty big, honestly. They're bigger than any fish I've ever caught before here.
Yeah.
But yeah. So another question we got coming in. What are your bucket list fish for saltwater and freshwater?
Ooh. I think starting off with saltwater, I don't know a ton of fish, but there's a couple saltwater channels I watch, and obviously I think a shark is a bucket fish for everyone, but I think I think a Goliath grouper would be like the hardest and most I think it'd be just a treat to catch one of those because I don't think a lot of people get that opportunity. It looks extremely hard to do, and it looks hours of work go into it. But I think that'd be definitely a bucket list fish to catch because they're absolutely huge.
So is the
I think for freshwater,
is the Goliath grouper is that the big one that John B caught that one time? It's like kind of like spotted.
Yeah, he's caught some Goliath grouper off of Florida. I don't know where in Florida, but he's caught them before there. They're massive fish. They're bottom feeders, and you find them like at bridges and stuff usually. So
how big are they? Like aren't they huge? Like 100 pounds?
I mean, I don't know the stat. Oh, they're a lot more. I think they can get upwards of like 800, 900 pounds. They're just massive fish.
That's ridiculous.
I think yeah, I think my freshwater fish definitely would probably be. I think I've never caught a sturgeon before, so it'd have to be that. I think I go with some of the bigger fish for my bucket list fish.
Yeah, for sure. In the area we live, a lot of people fish for sturgeon and catch sturgeon off our over by the St. Croix.
Yeah, off a dike there.
Yeah, for sure. So what's the fish that John B always goes for? His favorite fish.
Oh, I think it's a GT, a golden trevally.
Yeah. Giant trevally.
Yep.
That's definitely a huge bucket list fish for me. I think that would be so cool just to catch those. It's like just when you see them casting, they have to wear gloves because their hands get so blistery and stuff just from casting. And I just think that would be so much fun. But I feel like those days out there when they don't catch a single fish, I feel like it'd be super hard to get to keep up the positivity.
Yeah, you'd have to have great patience.
For real. But once you actually get into one, then I feel like it would be so much better. And then for freshwater, I really want to get into walleyes.
Me too.
I think we literally live in like the best place to catch walleye in the world, and we've never caught a walleye really.
I think what we need is I think we need an experienced person because I would have no clue how to go about it to catch one. I wouldn't know the places either.
I mean, I've caught them with like worms and like leeches and stuff, and I don't know what other tactics you even would use for it. Like what other people use for walleye.
I think there's also I think they use some diving crankbaits, and I think also there's walleye jigs that people use. I know night crawlers and leeches are probably the most popular form, though.
Yeah. We got a comment coming in from the comment section. Ben Gilbert says muskie. Would you want to catch a muskie or?
Of course. The only problem is that I fish of every is it 10,000 casts, they say in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I think it's an extremely hard fish to catch. It'd be awesome. That would definitely be up there on my bucket list too for freshwater.
For sure. I feel like muskie fishing would be a lot of fun, but it would also be very tiring if you're not catching fish.
Need to be patient.
You got to be patient, and that sometimes that can be hard for us as fishermen.
Yes, very.
Sometimes we struggle with that. So let's here we go. This is another topic about fishing, because we want to hit fishing kind of hard this week, because we didn't really talk about it much last episode, and I feel like, I mean, we're mostly a fishing channel, so we got to make sure to cover at least some fishing,
Definitely.
So the topic of our channel is called the Basshole, right? And that's the name of our boat. For you guys that don't know that, but tell them a little bit about like getting the Basshole. Like how did it come about?
So the main story stems from, I think it was one day at one of our local lakes. We were just going there it's a park, so you can fish and swim there. But we were just fishing one day, and our buddy also owned a boat at this time, so we got to go on that a couple times. And we're already kind of had it in our heads as an idea that something we wanted to do. But that day at our lake, we literally decided then and there that we wanted to buy a boat. So literally the moment we both got home, we both took our boater's license tests and received our licenses, and then started researching boats right away on the website called Craigslist. And we found, I think you actually found the boat, or your brother, and that's the one we went with. So
yeah, it was crazy how impulsive it was. Like, it was literally in like a 2-day span we decided that we were fishermen all of a sudden and that we needed a boat.
Yeah.
And it was probably the best decision we've ever made, honestly.
Definitely.
Especially at the time it was a lot of money, but looking back at it, that was the most worth it anything has ever been.
Yes,
and
I'd agree.
So the thing that we usually do every year at the beginning of the fishing season, when it's a little too cold to fish, but we're kind of itching to go fishing, is we usually do a big project on the boat, right? So yes. First year we put in a deck, right? We just put in the upper deck first, right?
We put in an upper deck, yeah, so we could mount a seat up there.
Yeah, we mounted a seat, upper deck. It had an opening thing that we could put stuff in. Chris's dad and my dad really helped us out a lot with that. And then the next year we put in a floor, right?
Yeah, we put in so we built the upper deck. So what the boat consists of is a couple benches that line across. So the middle and the front bench, we put the flat part, the upper deck part on, and then from the bottom of the middle bench to the next bench, on the floor, we actually just put another piece of treated plywood and covered it with carpet. So we had a flat floor instead, because water sometimes will seep into the bottom of the boat, and it's kind of annoying also to walk on that slanted surface. So it's a lot more easily accessible to fish on that part because it's flat.
Yeah, exactly. And also to help visualize it, it was literally a rowboat. So it had the 3 benches as a rowboat. And then last year, our big thing was we mounted the trolling motor to the front of it.
That was the big project. Yep.
Another huge, really good upgrade that we had that really helped us out this year, I'd say.
Yes.
So this year, what are we gonna do this year? I know we're gonna get back. We might. You never know with COVID how that goes, but we're gonna be itching, and it's probably gonna be a little too early to fish. So what plan do you think we should do this year?
I'm going on some boats this summer with our friends. We realized how important and essential a fish finder was, not just for spotting fish. That's really not what we used it for, but we used it for the depth of the water, first of all, to see where the weed lines are and how how deep we're actually fishing, and the water temp, so we can find out, where the hot spots are and where they are in the spring, where the water is a little bit warmer.
Yeah, for sure. And then it really helps knowing knowing the water temperature and the depths, because when you hear all these guys talking about fishing, they know where the bass are going to be based on the temp of the water and like what depth it is, and like they know when there's going to be like an incline or like a hole, and we don't know any of that.
No.
Sometimes we have no clue how deep the water is at all.
Yeah, I think that's the major issue, because we really on the lake we usually fish, we know pretty much where the water is, but if we go to another body of water, we really can't tell where it drops off without like looking at a topographic map from a book or by the boat lamp or boat launch.
Yeah, I think Lake Malibu, that's a lake in our hometown. What was it, 2 feet at one point, and we had no clue.
Yes.
We were going full speed in there. We had no clue that it was 2 feet.
Motor completely trimmed down.
Yeah, well, that's classic. I mean, that's another reason I enjoy not having I'm happy we don't have the nicest boat, because we make a lot of mistakes. And if we had an expensive boat, or if we used our dad's boat or something like that, I would be a lot more nervous. But since our boat is already kind of beat up, it's okay. And you can just worry about the fishing. You don't really have to worry about messing it up or anything, because it's already pretty messed up.
Exactly.
All right, so let's go into some sports. We're not going to hit it too hard right now, but let's just kind of segue into it. So you go to Madison, right?
I do.
All right. What are your thoughts on Grant Mertz also, and the football situation?
So, I mean, the first game of the season, we played Illinois, and if anyone follows Wisconsin football at all, they know our starting quarterback, Jack Cohen, had to have foot surgery, and he's out indefinitely at this point. So, we last year in the class of 2019, we actually got a 4-star quarterback, which is the highest Wisconsin's ever had in the history of their football program. And he was able to make his first start against Illinois, and he threw 1 incompletion and 5 touchdown passes. So it was because Wisconsin, honestly, they're based off of the run game. That's all they do is run and play defense. They barely pass the ball. So, I mean, it was kind of refreshing to see 5 TD passes in a Wisconsin Badger football game. But unfortunately, there's been a wave of COVID that hit the football team, and Graham was one of them that has COVID at this point. So the Big Ten has obviously they started later than the SEC and the ACC and Big 12, and they have pretty strict COVID rules. So you have to the day you contract COVID, it's not 2 weeks; it's actually 21 days until you can start practicing or playing again. So Graham won't be able to come back for another week and a half or 2. But another thing that hit the football team extremely hard was in the Big Ten, if you have more than 5% of your football team sick with COVID, you can't play. So week 2, we actually were not able to play against Purdue. And this week, the game's in jeopardy as well. So we'll have to stay tuned and see what happens with the season. We're hoping we can salvage it, though.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I feel like that's just a little excessive with I don't mean to with the coronavirus, I don't think that 21 days is necessary.
I think 14 would be sufficient as well.
Yeah, I mean, come on. And so you're calling him by his first name. Are you on first name basis with Graham?
I'm actually not, but I did live on his floor last year, so maybe that gives me the pass.
Really? Did you ever see him?
Yeah, we saw him walk around a lot. He was just one of the football players, you know them.
Oh, I know him. Actually, I don't know. Did you play any contribution to the spread of coronavirus at Madison?
I actually did contract COVID about a month ago, so I don't know if I played a part in spreading it because I self-isolated, but I was a beneficiary of receiving the coronavirus from Madison. So,
well, what can you do? Let's go into another one. So we're Timberwolves fans. How do you feel? How do you feel about James Wiseman pulling an Eli Manning and saying he's not going to play for the Timberwolves?
Um,
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not too taken off guard by it. There was really no chance the Wolves were going to select him anyway, and I honestly get his point because we have a franchise All NBA big man in Karl Anthony Towns, so I wouldn't want my growth stunted by playing alongside or playing behind him either. I wouldn't draw too much conclusion from it because he's not likely to even get drafted there anyway. It's mostly a two-way race between LaMelo Ball and Anthony Edwards if the pick does not get traded.
So would you say it's kind of like a quitting before you get fired almost?
I wouldn't say that. I think it's also scheme. I think the Wolves play a 3-and-D offense, and James Wiseman can't stretch the floor yet because he can't shoot from the outside, and that's what you need to play a 5-out offense.
No, what I'm saying is he going to go back in about 20 years and tell his kids, like, well, yeah, I could have been the first pick in the draft, but I didn't want to get drafted there. When in reality, he had no chance to get drafted by the team.
No, he did not have a single chance of getting drafted by the team.
That is my problem. It just doesn't. It feels like that doesn't really. That's not really. It doesn't make sense because
it just didn't need to be said. I don't think is the whole point.
Yeah, we didn't. We weren't going to draft him, so I don't know why he felt the need to say that. But
we don't want him then.
Yeah, we don't want him. We don't want to draft him after. So yeah, the draft's coming up. The exact day of the draft is November 18th.
Yes.
So what is that, in 2 weeks?
About 2 weeks-ish. Yeah, it's closing in really fast.
And this year it's virtual, just like the NFL draft, right?
I believe the NFL draft will be virtual, yes.
Well, no, like the NFL draft was last year.
Yes.
So it'll be the same kind of setup in the family's living room.
Yep.
So what do you think about when LaMelo gets drafted? Are we going to see LeVar Ball?
Maybe we'll see him in the background. I think if they have a full screen on the family, I think we'll definitely see him probably celebrate.
Did you ever keep up with their reality show?
I didn't really watch the reality show at all. I watched all the Ball is Life stuff in high school, but I watched a couple episodes of it, but I've never really kept up with that.
Yeah, what year was that? When we were juniors? I remember watching it. I would wait for it on Sundays. I watched about like 4 episodes of it.
Yeah, it was definitely, I think, sophomore or junior year they started that up. It was a really good idea for Big Baller Brand and them.
Seriously, so is Big Baller Brand still going, or are they?
Well, they're two. So LiAngelo's in the G League, so we won't count him. But the two boys, Lonzo and LaMelo, are now not sponsored. Big Baller Brand's still going, but they actually chose to not stay with them. I think Lonzo's with Nike and LaMelo just signed with Puma.
Yeah, I was gonna say Puma. Puma as a basketball shoe company is surprising because I feel like they get the top players like every year, and they still just haven't made a dent.
Well, yeah, that one draft with I think it was Marvin Bagley. A lot of those lottery picks signed with Puma.
Sorry, I'm trying to cover up the B on there. But yeah, so yeah, they had DeAndre Ayton, Marvin Bagley,
Puma,
and Michael Porter Jr. All the Puma. Now, and they got
some big names:
Jay-Z, J. Cole, Kyle Kuzma, LaMelo Ball,
Kelly Oubre too.
No, he's Converse.
He is Converse.
Converse is kind of starting to make a come up too. They got Gilgeous-Alexander and Kelly.
Yep.
But it's refreshing for me to see players go to different brands besides just your Nike. Because if you go to Nike, you really don't have a chance to be the face of the brand because they have so many guys up there. But going to these other ones, they actually have a chance to become the face of the brand, and they're getting more money for it anyway too.
Steph Curry is the prime example of that. He was a Nike guy and actually made the switch. I think it was either a season or 2 seasons before his MVP form, and now he's literally the face of Under Armour basketball, and even he's in Under Armour golf a lot actually too.
He's the face of the whole brand. When you think of Under Armour, you think of Curry. And another thing, so a funny story about that is when Curry, when he went to his Nike basketball, like when they were giving him his sales pitch.
Yeah.
So his sneaker deal was up. So I think it was like his third or fourth year. His sneaker deal was up, and he was going to these free agency meetings, kind of like getting a new job. So he's going to interviews, and like they're pitching why they want you. Like, so that he goes there and they're telling him, why do we want Steph Curry?
Oh, I have heard this story before. Yep.
And what I don't know, they spelled his name. They made a big presentation, so they sit him down with his whole family, like show a presentation on a screen, and I think they spelled his name wrong.
They spelled his first name wrong. Yes.
On the big screen, and then he goes over to Under Armour and he just feels like a king. They treat him all well, and that's why Nike ended up losing out on one of the. If they had Curry still, he'd have Nike Curry shoes. And I feel like they'd be on a whole nother level than they are right now. But now Under Armour's got him.
Yeah.
But even though Under Armour basketball is not really
it ain't it.
No, it's not. It really, like, I mean, we can say that they are doing better, but they're not. I mean, it's really just Nike. That's kind of Nike and Adidas, but not even Adidas really. It's really just Nike running the basketball scene right now.
I think Nike's definitely running the scene. I think I'd put Adidas in second in front of Under Armour. But
for sure. I wouldn't even put Under Armour in third.
Who would you go in third?
Third? Well, I guess I can't say a statement like that and not have a third. Yeah, no, probably Under Armour. Or New Balance on the come up.
I was just gonna say, I think another example of the New Balance is the Kawhi situation with the shirt you got on.
Yep. New Balance is the perfect brand for Kawhi Leonard. He's the most boring player, and that is the most boring. No offense to New Balance. I've been on New Balance for a while, but he's the perfect fit for New Balance. I've never seen someone fall into a better sneaker deal.
I would 100% agree.
What about so Anthony Edwards? I'm assuming he'll end up being a Nike guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Puma reaches out to all those top three guys, so I really don't know what Anthony Edwards will do. I know maybe he has close ties to Dwayne Wade, so maybe there's a Li Ning deal. I don't know.
Right. Well, yeah, with Li Ning you got D'Angelo Russell now.
Yep.
Which is
two huge faces.
Yeah, seriously, and especially with Russell, he's kind of like a fashion
guy.
He's a fashion guy. So it's kind of like with Converse, how they got Kelly Oubre and Gilgeous Alexander. Both of those guys are big in the street, in the style game and the shoe game.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very beneficial to both of them.
Yeah, for sure.
And especially when you're signing with Converse, you still can wear Nikes because Converse is owned by Nike.
It's the same thing with Jordan too, right?
Yeah, and Jordan is the third, I would say.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too.
Yeah. All right, so let's go into it. Let's go into the mock draft. So on November 18th, you guys will be watching the draft. Maybe we will be watching the draft, and let's go into our predictions. So what we're gonna do is Chris will start out with his number one pick first, and then I'll go into my number one pick. We'll have a little debate, and then Chris will use a bunch of big words, and then I'll say what I had to say. And then I'll say my number two first, and then Chris will say his. So we'll rotate a little bit to make it fair. You guys can leave comments. I know we got 3 viewers right now, so if you guys would like to leave the comments who you think should be drafted, we'd love to hear it. Let's go. So you start out. Who are the Minnesota Timberwolves selecting with the first pick in the draft?
So we're just going to be doing picks 1 through 14, which is the NBA lottery. So just so we don't prolong this. So for my number one pick in the 2020 draft, I have the Timberwolves selecting LaMelo Ball.
All right. Well, so I'll go into mine. I think the Timberwolves are going to pick Anthony Edwards, and this is without trades. So we're taking trades. If they have to make their pick, this is who they're going to pick. I go Edwards. Why do you go Ball over Edwards?
So I would go Ball for a couple of reasons. So obviously LaMelo Ball has had an interesting path to the NBA, going through the NBL, which is father created, and playing in high school for Spire, and eventually making his way to Australia, where he averaged 17 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists.
Oh, you got the stats.
Yeah. So I mean, just though this kid's been playing against competition against grown men for his pretty much since he's been 15 when he went to Lithuania. So this kid he's been playing against grown men for a while, and he's shown time and time again that he steps up to the occasion and puts up good numbers. I think it's no different in Australia. I think the only knocks you could really get him on is his shooting percentage, the 25% from three. But I think that's due to him being one of the only options on his team. And I think it's due to somewhat of his mechanics. But I think you can see Lonzo actually transitioning his jump shot at the moment and he's been shooting well in the NBA 3-point line. So I think LaMelo, with his already elite playmaking and passing that can translate easily to the NBA, I think he's a no-brainer, and he could be a generational talent.
No-brainer. You're saying it's a no-brainer?
I think talent-wise and ceiling-wise, talent-wise right now, I love Anthony Edwards too. It is a tough pick. But I think if we're looking at ceilings, I think I would go LaMelo Ball as the higher ceiling right now.
All right. I think so I think Edwards, I was bowling last night, right? I was at the bowling alley. ESPN was up on the screen. I was just watching Anthony Edwards highlights. And this is I remember last year I watched him play in the Maui Gym Classic. And I never heard of the kid before. And I just remember I think it was against Michigan State. He was incredible. It was probably the best. I was one of the best live basketball games I've ever seen, just watching. And I was like, wow, this kid is special. But
scored 33 points in the second half, yeah.
Yeah, and I never really watched anything on him after until last night. And I think he's got it. He's got that it factor. He's got the it factor that you look at with the Zion. I think especially last year with the situation of COVID coming in, no tournament, none of that. We didn't really get to see the season wrap up. Like with Zion, most of his hype came in the NCAA tournament when everyone's tuned in. I think if Anthony Edwards would have had that chance, then maybe we would have been talking about him as the consensus over number one pick.
And I definitely agree with you. I think I could interchange LaMelo and Anthony Edwards every single day. I always go back and forth on it.
Oh, for sure. And I would be fine with either of them. And I think that Edwards has a higher chance of being a bust. I think he either is going to come in, surprise everyone, and just be amazing, or he could be a bust. With LaMelo, he's going to come in. He's not going to average many points. He's going to run the offense like he's told. He's going to make great passes. He's not going to be what people are going to be expecting. I guarantee you that all the big media things are going to say that LaMelo is a bust in the first year.
Just like they did to Lonzo.
Just like to Lonzo. And he's going to be – but I think he has a higher ceiling than Lonzo. I think that he's going to start out slow, but that's obvious. He's a young kid. These guys are 19 years old. They're not these old players like we used to be seeing after 3 or 4 years of college. So they're going to take time to develop. And I think that either way, if the Timberwolves take either one of these players with the number one pick, I don't think it would be a bad choice.
No.
You can't. Yeah. So let's go on to the Warriors. I'll go first. I think they're going to take James Wiseman.
I am going to also agree with you. I think if the Warriors, barring a trade, don't deal their second overall pick away, I think it'll be James Wiseman.
For sure. I think it just really fits in with their – it doesn't, though. They might have to change up their system a little bit because they never really had a center like Wiseman. 7'1", freak athlete. He's a freak athlete.
100% agree.
They've never really – so they're going to have to switch up they're not going to be that three-point shooting team like they've been in the past. They're going to need to switch up their offense. But I feel like he would make more sense than taking whoever the Timberwolves don't take with Ball and Edwards.
It's just I think it would honestly it would either stunt LaMelo or stunt Anthony Edwards' growth. And that's not a knock to Curry or Clay because I'm sure they teach him some great things. But it's just it's probably 3 years down the road until they're going to see reasonable starting minutes.
And it's also crazy thinking about that the Warriors have the second pick in the draft. And they're
in the best place I think a team has ever been in before.
And they still have Curry, Thompson, and do they still have Draymond Green?
And Andrew Wiggins, yeah.
Like what? Yeah, think about it. So they put Wiggins at the 3.
Yep.
Green at the 4.
Yep.
James Wiseman at the 5. Curry and oh my.
You have interior defense too. That's one thing Draymond's had to do all by himself. So if you have 2 great defenders in the paint, and then those 3 can stretch the floor, that's pretty dangerous.
Yeah, because if you look at Wiseman's stats from last year, he only played in 3 games, correct?
Yep.
But he averaged 3 blocks a game.
Yeah.
And another thing with Wiseman, if he would have played the whole year, I think his hype would be up even higher. He's kind of
he very well could have been the number 1 pick if he played the whole year. So if the Wolves would have had a better handle on him.
Exactly. Well, he doesn't want to play for the Wolves. So.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about that. So,
exactly.
So for the 3rd pick, I'm assuming it's pretty obvious who, but you go first.
Yeah, for the 3rd pick, it's the other one of the 2. I'm gonna go Anthony Edwards. If Anthony Edwards is at 3, it's literally a no-brainer. In Charlotte, they need all the talent they can get, and I think Anthony Edwards would be given the keys to that ignition, just like he was given at Georgia, and I think it'd be really fun to watch, see the numbers he could put up.
For sure, and yeah, Ball too. If Ball goes there, either way, they're gonna a good player.
Yeah,
for their team, and that they'll get a lot of minutes. They'll get a lot of time to develop, and they got Michael Jordan watching over them. So
that's right.
You can't really go wrong with either one of those. So now let's go to the 4th pick, the Bulls. Who do you got?
For the 4th pick, I have Obi Toppin going to the Bulls.
All right, I got wait, you got what? I
have Denny Avdia going to the Bulls. Mistake there. I have Denny Avdia.
Well, because you knew that was the right pick. I have Obi Toppin going number 4 to the Bulls. Should I say the Wooden Award, Naismith Award, 1st team All-American, 6'9" forward, Obi Toppin. I have him going 4th to the Bulls.
Yeah, so the reason I would select Denny here, the Bulls are at the moment are overloaded at the 4 and 5 position, and they have 2 proven starters that are going to start next year in Wendell Carter Jr. and Lauri Markkanen. And their point guard position right now is really good in Zach LaVine, and they have a great shooting guard, young kid named Kobe White. So the only spot for them to fill in the starting lineup is the 3. And Denny Avdia is a very interesting prospect from Israel. I think he has the potential to be the best player in this draft because we don't really know a whole ton about him. He had his breakout national tournament for Israel, averaged over 20 points a game with 7 assists, and it's really reminiscent of a Luka Doncic. He's 6'9", great wingspan, and he can shoot the ball.
Yeah, I feel like with the situation that the Bulls are in right now, they have not really been successful. I feel like they need to take a winner. It's kind of I would compare it to Deshaun Watson with Obi Toppin. Last year, 29-2, right? We never got to see the NCAA tournament play out, but I'm sure if we got to see it, I think that he might have made a big run there. And
I think Dayton could have very well been in the
he's always been a winner.
Four.
Exactly. So if you were trying to build up your program, nothing better to do than to get a winner, a guy who's always won. And he puts up he's the winner, he's like the Heisman Trophy winner basically. He is. Yeah. I feel like he's falling to number 4. Usually he's falling to the 4th. He's only a sophomore. Correct. I don't know. I think he's only a sophomore. Yeah.
He's actually going to be 22. He was a junior this past year, so he's going to be 22 when he gets drafted.
All right, whatever. You're right.
That's the only knock you can really put on the. If that kid was 19, he could be the number 1 overall pick.
All right, but still, that's 2 years. That's 2 years. That's not that crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like with the 4th and the 5th, the Cavs and the Bulls, I feel like those 2 are pretty interchangeable.
Yeah, that is me and Peyton interchange those picks, so we won't go over them. So 5 and 6 for me 4 and 5 for me goes Denny, then Obi, and then for Peyton, his 4 or 5 goes Obi, then Denny.
Yeah, so I feel like there's different tiers to the draft. I feel like you got your top tier, which is the first 3, which could all be interchanged. Then you got your second tier, which is 4th and 5, which those could be interchanged. And then now you go to 6 at the Hawks. That is when it gets interesting. and kind of boring. But it also can be interesting if you are a Hawks fan or if you're whatever fan. So let's who you got going at number 6?
So with the 6th overall pick, I have Onyeka Okongwu, LaMelo Ball's teammate.
Yep, that's also who I have going there, and that was a great job with the pronunciation there.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, so with the Hawks, and I call him Big O. I'm gonna say Big O. Big O defense. You got some
background music. Let's take out the old headset. But yeah, I definitely agree with you with the Obi Toppin was a tremendous defender at USC, and then you also put points on the board. Big O.
I don't have his averages, but I think he averaged around like 14, right? Okay. Oh, now
it was, I believe, 17 a game.
17 a game, yeah. That's incredible. And with the Hawks, they don't need any help at the 1. They got Trae Young. They're kind of set with Reddish at the 3. So I feel like you got to go for Big O.
Go for talent, yeah. Put him at the 4 and let him and Clint just play some good defense and let them stretch. It's a Warriors situation kind of too. They have obviously Trae Young, and you can put John Collins at the 3 now if you get Big O, and I think it's just you can stretch the floor with that lineup.
Yeah, for sure. I think it might not be the most exciting pick, but I feel like it's a good pick for them as an organization. Isn't that crazy that when we used to watch Ball is Life, Chino Hills games, that they would have 3 lottery picks on that team?
They do.
That's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
And who was the other guy that they had? They had one other guy.
So they had LiAngelo and Eli Scott as well, and Eli Scott plays college basketball right now too.
Yeah, where I think he goes to no, not Buffalo.
It's a lower D1 school, I think.
But still, that's the reason they're the best high school basketball team of all time.
Yeah,
for sure. So let's go into 7 with the Pistons. The 7th pick is historically a sleeper pick. Usually, you got Chris Mullin going 7th. Fun fact about the 7th pick: you got Chris Mullin. Another guy who's pretty decent, Curry, with the 7th pick. So you also got to put. For me, I'm putting the guy that he's coming from the best college program in the NCAA Division I. I'm gonna have to go with Tyrese Halliburton, from Iowa State University, 6'5", crafty, playmaking guard. How about you?
That's a great pick. I have him going in a little bit here, but at the moment for the 7th overall pick, I have Killian Hayes, who is a international prospect from France, and the kid he's so reminiscent of Manu Ginobili and D'Angelo Russell. He looks like he's the real deal.
Really, I do see the comparisons there. For me, it's hard to take an international prospect like that when you have Halliburton sitting right there for you to take. Halliburton, he has a lot of work to do, but he is just so skilled for his size. His jump shot is whack. It looks terrible. It really is the ugliest thing. Being an Iowa State fan, it is hard to watch, but it's so good. And he's a very consistent shooter. He might have issues getting a shot off, but I don't know. I think that if you're the Pistons, you need to get a playmaker. They really don't have a playmaker. And I'm sure your guy is a playmaker, but I don't know. I feel like Halliburton's less of a risk.
I think Halliburton is definitely one of the best playmakers in this draft, and the Pistons do need talent around him. So I would venture to say that's a good pick too.
Yeah, not a bad. Both are good options, of course. So now we're getting out to the 8th with the Knicks. Who do you see the Knicks taking with that 8th pick?
So I'm gonna actually go with Tyrese Halliburton, the one you just picked. I think he'll fall to 8 after Killian is picked at 7.
All right, I got Devin Vassell, 6'7", 3-and-D, from Florida State.
Yeah.
He's one of the best shooters in the draft, 42% on the year. He can play. He's a 2, but he can play the 1. And if you're looking at the Knicks starting lineup, I think, well, whatever they have going on there, not much.
They just need talent. They need talent.
They need talent, and I feel like he'd just be a steady player that he's low risk. You know he's gonna be able to shoot. He's gonna be able to make plays. I feel like that's just a solid pick for the Knicks. But whoever the Knicks take, it's gonna end up being the wrong pick.
It always will be, yeah.
1 second, we got a comment coming in. Come on, Chris. Kobe's the one, and that's true. That is Kobe White is the point guard, and Levine usually plays a little bit more of the two, but they could be interchangeable.
Yeah, they played him at both spots last year.
Oh, there, Chris is right there. There you go.
All right, so for the 9th pick, I'm going to go with Isaac Okoro, who I think if he falls to the 9th overall pick, the Wizards just got a gem because he is the best defender in this draft, and he has shown the ability. He's not the greatest three-point shooter ever, but it's something in the mid-30s that he can work on.
For sure. I also have Okoro there with the 9th pick. I just think defense is what makes him such a good prospect overall. Usually when you're looking at these picks, the only thing they're lacking is their defense. But for him, that's his strongest suit. And especially when you have Beal, you're going to need all the defense you can get. And I feel like he's very consistent. And again, for me, the problem is that we never really got to see the college. I never was as tuned into the college basketball scene as I usually am. And I think because I usually start like looking into it more when the tournament's coming on and you're starting to make your picks. And that's when you're like looking at all these teams and studying the players. And this year I kind of missed out on that.
Yeah.
So when looking at some of these names, I've never really seen them play,
And I think, especially with Okoro, I mean, the Wizards really don't have a 3 right now. If you want to consider Otto Porter Jr. a long-term 3, I think that's just a wrong opinion. But he's literally the perfect person to put in there because Wall, you got your playmaking at the 1. And by the way, he looks extremely good coming off an injury. He looks shredded and he looks very healthy. And you have,
would you say it's kind of like a Hoodie Mello situation with John Wall? Every single time he comes back from an injury, everyone's saying that he is the real deal, and then he ends up getting hurt again.
I think John Wall's coming off injury a little younger than Melo did. Okay. And I think with Beal being one of the best scorers in the NBA, you plug in Okoro at 3 and he's going to defend. The Eastern Conference has some great players. He's going to be the one that's on Tatum. He's going to be the one that's on, pretty much every single best player on the team. So if you can have a perimeter defender like that, you're in a good spot.
So this is the guy. I think this is the funniest picture I ever do.
That's a great one.
He looks so. But yeah, I think Okoro is a very solid player and a good pick. Now the Suns, this is an interesting pick because they need a point guard, right?
They do.
They have Devin Booker, and it also there's a lot of point guard. This draft is pretty weak, but I'd say point guards are one of the things that they they have a decent amount of good point guards this year in the draft. So it really depends what happens before it. But so I had them taking Killian Hayes, obviously, because I think that would be such a great fit with Booker, because you want to get a pass first guy. I
100% agree.
Yeah, who do you have?
So I think if Killian Hayes fell to 10 for Phoenix, a team who went 8-0 in the bubble and who look like they're probably destined to make the playoffs next season, they would be a scary team. I think the more reasonable pick here, though, is a player who was the number 1 overall player in the country in high school, and that's Cole Anthony. He was injured for part of North Carolina's season this year, but when he came back, he had to do a bulk of their scoring. He didn't shoot the greatest. He shot about, 33% from 3 and not great field goal numbers, but he's shown the ability to put up points, and that's what he did. He put up 23 points and about 7 assists.
So when you have Devin Booker, are you really going to want a point guard who is going to be requiring a lot of shots?
I think Cole, one of the big part of Cole Anthony's game is he's not just a score first point guard. He's just a guy who can do that with Devin Booker. And I think obviously that team is looking on that is on the upswing. They have 3 proven scorers in Devin Booker, Kelly Oubre, and DeAndre Ayton. So I think if you plug a possible first overall talent in Cole Anthony before his injury and before he goes to North Carolina, that's an that's an extremely scary team.
I see, but you can't judge a player off of their high school ranking because you got Trayvon Duval. He was the number 1 overall player.
He's actually on the Timberwolves G League team right now.
See, he's in the G League. I think that when I watched Cole Anthony play against when I watched him play against Duke, he looked so he was just forcing shots. And I feel like when you have Devin Booker and what you're talking about, they have so many good offensive talent. I think they need a low-profile pass-first player.
So to rebuttal on that, I think
I don't know if that means, Chris.
To respond, I think another underrated part of Cole Anthony's game is he's a good perimeter defender. He can guard your point guard. He's not super tall, but he's a great perimeter point guard, and he's quick. And I think the reason he had to score that many points for North Carolina is because, I'm going to be honest, they sucked. It was one of their probably worst seasons in history because they had nobody there. So he obviously was the only one that put up points for them.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah, I think that's due to a lot of the scoring for him. But yeah, you want guys that have the ability to score too anywhere.
Of course, and especially with our what we really want is that we want Booker to be traded to the Timberwolves. So they are going to need a scorer, and that's why they will take. That's why they will need to take Anthony because they need that scoring.
Yeah.
So the Spurs, this pick. All right, quick question. I know I should know this. Is Greg Popovich? Did he retire yet?
He has not retired yet. No.
So this is probably one of his last draft picks.
Yeah.
This is one of the last picks he will make. I think he's going to take Saddiq Bey from Villanova.
Okay. For my 11th overall pick, I think I would bet a lot of money on this. I think Patrick Williams will go to the Spurs. I think he is if not, he might be the most athletic prospect in this draft. He has the highest vertical in the draft, and he's just a Greg Popovich type of player. He's a very good perimeter and interior defender, and he's very athletic. So I know Greg Popovich will be able to develop a shot from him.
So yeah, I was between those 2 players. I was between him and Saddiq Bey. And what really stood out to me about Bey is he seems what you were saying about Williams is that he seems like he's the Greg Popovich type of player. He's a hard worker.
Yes.
He's a great shooter. 45% from threes, averaging 16 points. And I just feel like when you go to one of those schools like Villanova or Gonzaga, you have that winning culture. And that's what Greg Popovich needs. He needs a guy who's okay coming off the bench, a guy he's okay not being the guy for a couple of years, and he's okay just. When did Kawhi? What pick was Kawhi picked?
I don't know the exact pick, but Kawhi really didn't come out of a major program. He came out of San Diego State, so I mean, it was probably a later first round. But you see what Greg Popovich does to players.
Exactly. So either one of these picks, I think if he can take him in and develop him, and if these guys know that it might be a little bit longer before they get like the keys to the offense, I think that the Spurs drafting this high in the draft, it's a scary sight because the Spurs are always going to be there as long as they have Greg Popovich as a coach.
I think a point to build off, we just talked about Kawhi Leonard. You can see him and Patrick Williams similarities. They can defend both interior and out on the perimeter, and they weren't the greatest shooters in college, but you can see now Kawhi can shoot the lights out of the ball.
Yeah, great. I love how much we're bringing up Kawhi Leonard in this podcast tonight. The
robot.
Yeah, the robot, the cyborg is what they like to call him. All right, so now we're getting into the 12th. We got here we go. Kawhi was pick 15. So I mean it's kind of close to where they're drafting this year. So yeah, let's go into 12 with the Kings.
So 12, I'm going to go with Devin Vassell. I think you had him earlier. He's obviously the 3-and-D prospect you were talking about from FSU. He's kind of got a funky shot, but he shot 42%. So I think honestly it's the same situation with some of the teams like the Pistons. The Kings just need someone who can shoot. And I think with Buddy Hield probably leaving because he won't even text his coach back, I think they need to fill in that number 2 spot, and I think that can be Devin Vassell.
Yeah, I agree with that pick. I also had is it Patrick Williams?
Patrick Williams, yep.
All right, no, Patrick Williams. I had him going 12, but either way, they just need
great picks all around.
Yeah, when you're looking at a team like the Kings, it's just kind of like the Kings. It's just I don't know. Like there's these teams like the Kings and the Grizzlies who are just kind of like boring teams.
Yeah.
You know, no offense to Kings fans, but it seems like every year they just take like just kind of like.
So a point to build off this whole draft too is I think obviously people say it's a weaker draft, but I think if you were naming off some of these later lottery guys that have the potential to be that Giannis, to be that Victor Oladipo, to be that Kawhi, there's a lot of great talent in the middle of this draft.
I would 100% agree. I think that the talent is more spread out this year. Instead of it being top heavy, it's a very even draft, and I feel like anywhere you draft, you have a chance at getting a good player. There's this. I know you'll probably know the name. There's a foreign prospect. He has a goofy name. I can't even pronounce it, but he's 6'9". He might be he's 7'1". 7'1" shooter.
Is it from Aleka Pukasevsky, I think? Yeah.
Oh, I knew you'd know his name, but yeah. That's the dude. I think he could be the next one. Remember that one year when one of the teams drafted the Brazilian Kevin Durant?
Oh, yeah, I do remember that. But that's what's so fun about the NBA draft. You can have players like Greg Oden go first, like you think they're going to be there's just one of the top high school talents ever, and they just bust.
And remember
the point of a draft.
Remember the footage that they showed? It was like from a gym.
Yeah.
I thought that was. Like the footage that they showed of him looked like a dad like filming an intramural game. Like I'll pull it up right now. Here we go. Like look at his quality.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but he actually he's in the NBA right now, and
he still is, yes.
And he actually he was. I remember them talking about him. Like, no way, the Brazilian Kevin Durant. He's actually still in the league, and he's actually playing. Like that's ridiculous. So where are we now?
So we're on the 13th overall pick for the New Orleans Pelicans.
All right, who do you got going there?
For them, I think it's literally a no-brainer if he's there. They need to fill in the 4 spot. They're going to go with Precious Achiuwa, and I think that Pelicans team is really on the upswing. I think they're a potential 7th or 8th seed contender, but Achiuwa has the potential to be the best defender in this draft too. He averages a lot of blocks. He averages a lot of steals for a big man, and he can move his feet quick.
Mm-hmm. I 100% agree with you on that pick. 100%. Let's go into the 14th, the final pick of the lottery. Who do you got going?
So the Celtics have a lot of picks in every single draft, it seems, and it seems they always hit on some really weird players.
Right.
So I think RJ Hampton's a good guy to pick, but I don't think he's the guy for the Celtics. I think Aaron Nesmith. He's
that's your guy.
That's my guy. That's who I want the Wolves to get at 17, but I'm reluctant to say he's probably not going to get there. So I think you got a guy who's led the NCAA in 3-point shooting. He shot 52% from the 3-point line on about 7 attempts per game. That is incredible. Anybody who shoots the lights out like that from the 3-point line is valuable to a team, even if they can't do anything else. But he's a above average perimeter defender, and he's got to work on his inside game a bit. But if you can shoot the lights out like that, that's very helpful for any team.
So you're basically saying he is Ray Allen?
He's got some numbers that show some resemblance. I think he could be like a better JJ Redick almost. So I think that's a good player.
Yeah, I had Hampton going there. Both good options, but you convinced me there on this guy.
Yeah.
All right, so that concludes our mock draft. You guys can, if you're watching this after the draft happens, I'm sure that it'll be very accurate to what happens on draft night. But no, a lot's going to change on draft night. There's going to be a lot of trades that we won't even be able to be prepared for.
It'll be a real, like, if you're not really even a fan of if you don't have a team that's in the lottery, it's still going to be one of the most entertaining drafts because there's going to be trades. There's going to be players you didn't think go in the lottery. It's going to be a really entertaining draft because no one knows where anyone's going to go.
Right. It's very it'll just be a fun thing to watch, and just like it'll be a nice refresher, just something to have on the TV that's not politics. So here's actually a very good question brought up by Ben Gilbert. So if you're taking LaMelo Ball, do you have to worry at all about his dad and the family hype that comes around him? Or is that actually a positive of drafting LaMelo Ball? Is his hype and his everything that is going to come, all these fans that are going to come from LaMelo Ball, is this a positive actually to drafting him instead of drafting a guy that is a low-profile player?
So I think LaMelo is just, obviously, he's one of the most polarizing prospects ever because he's had a TV show since he was in freshman year of high school. But I think the kid has literally performed in front of the cameras at every single stage he's been at. People forget he scored 92 points in a high school game. He literally has – everyone keeps saying he's going to fall off. He's going to fall off. He's going to fall off at the next level he goes. But he keeps getting better, and it hasn't happened yet. And I think you saw LeVar during Lonzo's draft have a big impact on him, and I think that's why Lonzo didn't play well in LA. But now that LeVar took a step back, Lonzo is a really, really, really important player for the Pelicans and a very good point guard, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. And so to go to the question, I think that it actually will be more of a positive for LaMelo Ball having this hype around him because it's going to bring excitement to the team. So if the Timberwolves were to take LaMelo, that brings in so much hype.
Brings in so many fans, so many sales, so much outside media finally paying attention to Minnesota basketball. I think it'd be a great thing.
It'd be a great thing. That's a positive to drafting LaMelo Ball. So let's talk about something else. Our decommitment from Guggen Bates. This is going into the fishing topic. Let's talk about it. I mean, we didn't really. It's just it was time to leave Guggen Bates, and we're a free agency now. So we're in free agency. We're open to offers for many other fishing companies, but the Guggen Bates just didn't work out the way we expected. And let's talk about that a little bit.
So I think going into it, it was just a pro staff opportunity, obviously, and they accepted us, and it was just cool because obviously we watch those guys on YouTube, so it was something we just wanted to try out and see what it was like. But honestly, at this point, it's not worth promoting a huge product that isn't going to give us any benefits. I think what would be more worth it in our self-proclaimed free agency is to maybe find a local or a smaller bait brand that actually wants to have a channel on the face of their, maybe not the face of their franchise, but maybe we could work our way up to something big and actually, make something out of our channel.
Yeah, because I feel like with Guggen Bates, you're part of Guggen Bates to be part of Guggen Bates. They don't want you to be part of them, really. Like they're not.
The whole goal of I think joining a pro staff opportunity in Guggen Bates is literally just to get an Instagram picture you reposted so you can gain some followers. I think that's literally the only reason you would join that.
And let's also just get into the pro staff crap, the junk that we went through getting into the fishing community. And this is something that I never even knew this was. It's such a toxic. It's honestly terrible how these brands try to manipulate little kids. So what was that rod company that we were talking to? I remember walking down in my basement, I'm walking down in the kitchen all happy. I'm like, you know what, guys, we're gonna get sponsored by this fishing company, rods and reels, like super nice.
All right,
And
so on this channel, I'll get into it. We really don't have a filter. We pretty much say what we want to say and get our point across. Their brand was called Enigma Rods, and I think the whole concept of a pro staff, first of all, is just really stupid. We're gonna definitely clip this and post this as a YouTube video for a message to Enigma Rods, but their whole point of joining the pro staff is you get some pre-merch, but the whole point of it is honestly you have to buy 3 rods to become a part of their pro staff. You have to buy 3 rods that are in ballpark of $300.
yeah, it's literally, marketing wise, it's very smart, but it's like
They manipulate a lot of young kids.
a lot. It's kind of messed up, and we weren't gonna fall into it. We were excited when they reached out to us. We thought it was cool, but then looking into it, we were just like, this isn't even like, you can't call this a pro staff because they're literally making you sign up. They're forcing you to buy their product.
It's pay to play.
Pay to play. It's like these kids that used to get on these good AAU basketball teams, and you're like, how did that kid get on the team? And then you realize, oh, their parents got them on. You paid to get on the team. You're paying to get a scholarship. You're paying to pretend that you're promoted by this company to make you feel better about yourself. Like, oh, all these companies want to sponsor me, but in reality, you're paying them and you're getting a subpar product that is overpriced.
100%.
So we are free agents at the at the moment, and we're not looking for any deals, and probably won't be any deals coming anytime soon. But
just to put it out there.
Just to put it out there in case anyone sees this, we're on the free agency market for companies, and yeah, I mean, we'd love to promote some companies on this podcast.
Yeah, I think that's really important because of how, I wouldn't say we're really tiny, but we're a small fishing channel, and I think it's important to let the little guy thrive a little bit. So I think it's important to support even littler bait companies, which we have done countless times already, is partner up with them to do a giveaway. And I think it's really important for the growth of the fishing community as a whole.
For sure. Another thing that I think is really important about when you do get to the point where you need to get where you start getting sponsorships and brands promoting you and stuff, I think an important thing is you want it to be a brand that you actually enjoy. And why I'm saying this is, when I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast, right? You know, the first 5 minutes he goes through all of his sponsors.
Yeah.
And every single one of them, he's always like, yeah, the sponsor is blah, blah, blah. And like, I actually use this for the last 3 years, and now I'm just getting sponsored by it. But it's always something that he believes in, and it's something that he actually wants to promote. He's not promoting something that just to get extra money, you know?
No, he wants to promote stuff for the benefit, I think, of other people actually trying out the product. It's not just for a paycheck. I think it's actually is for something that's worked for him and that he wants to share with others.
Right. I feel like, yeah, you want to promote something that you actually stand behind and you're actually proud of promoting. You don't want to just have something that you just throw in randomly at the halfway mark of your video because you have to.
I would 100% agree.
For sure. So let's just go straight into left field. What's some current music that you're listening to?
Current music. So I think lately, I don't know, that's tough. I think lately I actually enjoyed, it's a really left field topic for me. I never liked the guy before he put out his new album, but Machine Gun Kelly's new album is actually, instead of rap, it's a rock album. It's actually a really good album. So I would 100%, even if you didn't like him as a rapper, which I didn't, I like 2000s rock, and it was a really really good album.
Really, I've actually not looked into that album. Right, what are some songs that people should check out first in that album if they're
I think Bloody Valentine is the most popular song. I can that's my favorite out of all of them, but I can pull it up right here, and
what? So is that album? Is it doing well? On the charts.
it did do very well. It's called Tickets to My Downfall. There's a couple of good songs. There's one called All I Know, and that actually has Trippie Redd in it. And
Really?
yeah, and you guys might know who Halsey is too.
Mhm.
She's a singer current day, and there's a song called Forget Me Too with Halsey, and he's got a if you guys know who Travis Barker is too, song by him. He's got a lot of
Really?
artists that are like really cool artists that he collabs with for a rock album out of all things. Like you never think Halsey would sing rock, but it's actually a really good album.
See, so he's kind of reminding me of B.O.B. Rapper turned rock album. But no, in all reality, so I think that's really cool when an artist can go from being in one genre to going to the next genre. I think that that's what really proves someone to be an artist instead of just like a rapper.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
you can be a
I think
rapper,
that
but it really shows your musical talent if you can go into these other genres. And when you listen to these, like most rappers talk, like X, if you hear X talk, he talks about his favorite genres of music and his favorite bands, and barely any of them are rap.
yeah,
So when you get these good musical minds, I think that they appreciate all types of music, and they're not just only going to listen to rap. They're not only going to listen to that. They'll listen to music, whatever it is, and they won't judge it. They'll just judge it as music as a whole.
yeah.
So I think that it's really cool that he could make a rock album that is as successful as it was, and I'll definitely give it a listen for sure. For me, I've been on a big Lil Baby craze the last
Yeah.
couple months. Really, like I've been listening to a lot of Lil Baby, and
He's a good rapper. He definitely is.
he's a great. I think he is the rapper of the year this year. I think he's the best new age rapper that we have. I think
I would beg to say that could be true. Yeah.
I think he has just the consistency that he has put out in his music and the longevity that it has is different from these other rappers that you get. They put out one album and it might have one hit song and then they just kind of fall off. When you're looking in the music industry, you're looking for guys who have had longevity over the years. You got Drake, Kanye, J. Cole, Kendrick. These are guys that they don't have to put out like 6 albums a year. They just put out one album when they're ready and it's polished and they have their fans and that's who listens to it. And sometimes they get more fans and there's always it's consistency. And that's what I think Lil Baby's going towards right now.
It's a good take.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing that I have enjoyed with him is his features in his songs. So one that I really have enjoyed is She Know with Lil Keed.
Never heard that.
It's a super chill song. And it's I don't know. I was digging it this week and I've been listening to it a lot. So you guys should really go check that song out for sure. So yeah, solid episode this week. It kind of the timing. I don't know about the timing. What would you say? Do you think we should have done it earlier? I mean, especially
it's tough with the election, obviously, and I think it's just tough in general with college. Obviously we have a lot of schoolwork and we have a schedule. So I mean, it's whenever we can film these. I think it might have been a little bit too late tonight. Possibly maybe on like a Saturday afternoon when college football's kind of in like the dead zone right after the set of 11 o'clock games. I think could be an interesting time to do it, I think.
Yeah, but another thing about these podcasts are like, I mean, it's nice to have people tuning in live and coming in on the comment section, but we don't. You don't need to watch it live. Like we will post this whole thing on YouTube, and it might not. It's just getting the content out there for people to see. So we've had some consistent viewers tonight in the comment section. Ben Gilbert, I'd like to give him a shout out.
Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, he's asking Chris's age, which we're not gonna say on this podcast because that's personal information. William Reese comes in. Hi, Henry. Henry Reese.
Where's Chris's Xbox mic?
And
Made
then
an
you got-
appearance.
did. Omar had the same profile picture as William. They seem to be poking fun at Chris. Julia came in with a lot of stats tonight, which is very, very
Yep.
huge podcast. Really, really appreciate that. She had Kawhi. Just you love to see that. Yeah, appreciate all you guys who are watching. All of our new subscribers this week. I mean, we do only have 91 subscribers, but every time we get a subscriber, I notice it. It makes like we're at the
It's a
point.
huge deal to us.
We're at the point we actually appreciate every single person that subscribes. We appreciate anyone that takes the time just to watch one video. It means a lot, and especially like there was a time there when we didn't really get any. We weren't making a splash. We were making videos that were not getting many views, and it's just you just got to keep doing it. You got to keep going, and then at some point, it's gonna start going off, and yeah, we should appreciate you guys for being here.
It's a grind, but it makes it a lot easier when we see some support. Like even one comment really is awesome because we can tell we're doing something right and touching someone.
Yeah, that's really all that matters, and for sure, we're just gonna keep. We'll see you guys next week. Hopefully, we can talk about the election a little bit, but obviously, we're not gonna take sides or anything because that never goes well.
No.
We see Chris as a fan of America, and hopefully that won't get torn apart in the comments right there.
Hopefully America prevails in the end. Whatever direction it goes, hopefully everything works itself out, and we have a better 2021.
Yeah, we're looking for 2021. That's really all that matters. So appreciate you guys all. Thank you, Chris, for coming on. I don't know if it's confirmed, but we might be having a guest next week. An NFL prospect. That's all I'm going to say. We might be having an NFL prospect on the show next week. So
yes.
Stay tuned for that. Really excited for that.
A lot of great info from him. He's been through the system. He knows a lot of cool stuff about football, about college, and about some of the NFL stuff. I mean, yeah, it'll be a great podcast. He's a great guy.
But for sure. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great rest of your week, and we're out. See ya.
See you guys.